From the disastrous Versace sample sale in New York City, to the Hermes lawsuit about their infamous Birkin games, to the Rose no cameras please policy at their fashion show, and the latest trend of influencers, content creators selling all their designer collections, there's so much to unpack as it pertains to consumer fashion, especially in the luxury or high-end designer space. This feels like the pertinent time to share some truths about luxury fashion. Most of these I've learned since I've started my own designer fashion journey and content creation here on these platforms. As much as I call them truths, I'm human, so personal bias is sprinkled in here and there, so give me grace, but let me dive right in and let you know what I've learned. Truth number one, I know it's gonna hurt a lot of feelings, but luxury fashion was never meant for everyone. It simply was not. Since its inception, high-end luxury fashion was created solely for the elites. It was supposed to be a non-verbal form of wealth signaling. Yes, they use high-quality material, they employ the most skilled artisans, the best creatives to come up with the most amazing, intriguing, innovative designs. But the greatest driving force behind a lot of these brands and behind luxury fashion had always been exclusivity. So when we find ourselves, myself included, talking about how unreasonable it is for these brands to have these exorbitant prices to their items, or we speak about finding dupes and replicas and how to get these luxury fashion items for less, we are essentially going against the entire premise of luxury fashion. Of course, capitalism has seeped its way into the operations of many of these luxury fashion brands. Most of them are now parts of huge conglomerates, which are publicly traded companies, and therefore they owe profits to their shareholders. So yes, along the way, they may have made some business decisions that resulted in these brands being more inclusive in order to gain as much profit as possible, but that was never meant to be the case. It was never meant to be for everyone. And yes, I know we all deserve nice things. We all deserve to look good and feel good, and luxury items, especially luxury fashion, has always been marketed to make us feel good, to look good in our clothes. However, they're not necessities, and not having them is not infringing on our basic human rights. So if we don't all get a Birkin, we'll be fine. Truth number two, and probably the one that has brought me the most enlightenment on my fashion journey, is that luxury fashion is a social construct, aka it's a made-up thing. By definition, a social construct is a concept that exists not in objective reality, but as a result of human interaction. It exists because we agree it exists. There are thousands of fashion brands in existence today, and many hundreds of them utilize the highest quality materials. They have the most skilled craftsmen with the most impeccable craftsmanship. Yet somehow for the last century, we have only recognized a specific set of brands as high quality, luxury, high fashion brands. And what this indicates is that luxury fashion is subjective. Luxury fashion was created by savvy business people who've managed to convince people that purchasing these luxury items will make them look good, feel good, attract better, and they will just overall be treated better and live a better life. And the influencers of these businesses are the elites. So whenever they wear it or they like it, it is marketed as luxury, and we all just accept it. This is why the elites were the only ones who were invited to these highly exclusive fashion shows where designers would try to convince them that their designs were art, innovation, and based on their approval, these designs would go into production and be slapped with hefty price tags. However, social media came along and threatened and is possibly destroying this entire social construct. Whilst I personally appreciate that the Row may have wanted their audience to wholly enjoy their fashion show without being distracted or consumed by creation of content for social media, the argument can be made that they also didn't want to just have any and everyone get quick access to critiquing their designs and influencing the public's perception of the designs before they were able to put them into production. This essentially destroys the process of dictating what luxury fashion is. Another way to highlight that luxury fashion is indeed a social construct is to look at the way dupes and the accessibility to these luxury fashion completely changes the narrative about these items or brands. Because this is exactly what happened in 2023 when quiet luxury became the booming trend of the fashion industry. The elites who once enjoyed wearing Louis Vuitton canvas pieces, Gucci Marmont pieces, those Chanel classic flaps, they were no longer able to be separated or distinguished from the working or the middle class. And so these pieces were no longer considered luxury. Instead, they were considered basic, overrated, overexposed. And what became luxuries were plain white t-shirts costing $500, $900 flip-flops, and everything neutral and monochromatic. And then now, as soon as that became the popular style, we've started to see color coming back in, different styling elements coming back in, and people talking about wearing logos once again. It's pretty much a vicious cycle of trying to separate and keep different classes apart based on what you wear. Truth number 3 about luxury fashion is that there are people who can afford this. I think a lot of us overlook the fact that there are people who genuinely shop with these brands on a regular basis. Most loyal clientele for these brands spend well over $100,000 per brand per year. Purchasing from these high-end designer brands is not a stretch for everyone, and though the wealthy make up a very small fraction of each population, they still exist. And so they can easily go into these places on a regular afternoon and spend thousands of dollars, and it won't hurt them in any way. There will be no dent in their pockets. They're perfectly fine with this. I saw a video addressing the shocking fact that Taylor Swift attended a football game wearing thousands of dollars worth of fashion and accessories. The creator broke down just how much of Taylor's net worth would have been spent on that outfit if she had bought everything with her own money, and it came out to a very small fraction. And when she decided to compare this fraction to her net worth and how much she would have spent on it, it worked out to be $12. And I'm sure so many of us wear outfits that cost way more than $12 on a regular basis. One of the reasons why these high-end fashion brands will sometimes continue to raise their prices out of keeping with what's going on in the society economically, it's simply because they know that there are enough people out there who can actually afford this. Truth number 4, and one I'm happy I discovered, is that it is okay to want and to own designer fashion. I always heard this saying that only poor or middle class, working class people who are trying to look rich buy designer items, and that the wealthy don't waste their money on these overpriced items. Well, I now know that this is not exactly true. Most poor, working class, or middle class people do not own authentic designer fashion items. And even if they did, there's nothing wrong with that. It is a marker of a fully functional brain to succumb to the social construct of luxury fashion. Who in their right mind wouldn't want items that are made from the best quality materials by the most skilled hands, packaged and promoted by the most exclusive brands? Like, who wouldn't want the best of everything? These elites who we think are the only ones deserving of these designer items are treated the best, they're given the best of everything, and they have the access to the best of everything. And I know this from personal experience. When I look a certain way, dress a certain way, wear a certain item, I am given a much better experience than I would if I had not presented myself in that fashion. So I don't think there's anything wrong with people aspiring to have good or great experiences on a daily basis, and if they think they can achieve these by wearing or purchasing designer fashion, because the truth is they can. And though these things are materialistic, for a lot of people, they serve as sources of encouragement and inspiration to improving and thriving in so many other areas in their lives. Truth number 5, and the final one I'll share for this video, is that it is so beneficial to be a loyal customer of some of these brands. There are so many ways that you could get luxury designer fashion pieces, including at affordable prices. I've actually outlined 12 different ways, some of them are a little bit sneaky, that you could cop designer fashion for less. But there is a lot of benefit to actually purchasing your designer fashion items in store and being a loyal customer. You get exclusive access, early access to a lot of deals, heavy discounts, the newest releases. The treatment or the experience in store gets better and better each time because you eventually prove yourself to be a loyal customer. Believe it or not, there are endless freebies with your purchases. Sometimes a $3,000 bag turns into multiple invites, parties thrown for you, and you have access to other people who are in certain categories, very successful people who can open other doors for you, give you more business and lifestyle improvement opportunities that you would not have been able to get if you had only shopped online, at consignment stores, secondhand, or purchasing dupes or inauthentic pieces. Though this is not limited to luxury fashion, there's also a sense of belonging or community that develops when you become a loyal clientele of these brands. You have access and the ability to meet new people, learn about different cultures, and you may even make friends, not just business opportunities, but you may even make good friends along the way. So it's not all bad. Capitalism has definitely hurt luxury fashion, as it has done all the industries. Corporate greed has definitely overshadowed the art, the innovation, the expression, and the uniqueness of designer fashion. But I feel if we can be realistic and acknowledge some of these truths about luxury fashion, that we can still enjoy it. Until my next video, stay fashionably well and in good health.